4 minutes until showtime. 3 minutes until showtime. 2 minutes until showtime. 1 minute until showtime. 'Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Insurrection, obstruction, indictments, civilly liable for sexual abuse. The one man responsible for all that could be sitting in a prison cell on election day and still be elected commander-in-chief for these United States. That man is beholden to Putin, weakened NATO the last time around, and is currently tying himself to wealthy Saudi oil money. He enriched himself when government stayed at his properties. He campaigned on wanting to use government to go after his political rivals and wants to expand executive power. If Donald Trump is reelected, our nation is lost. So let's roll up our sleeves, get to work, and tell the MAGA folks no more before it's too late. to Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you from New Orleans, Louisiana. To join the conversation, it's 914-803-4131. That's 914-803-4131. That's right, Blog Talk Radio is working again. Hey. Or you can join us in the chat at liberaldanradio.com, which is the link to the YouTube channel, or twitch.tv/liberaldanradio. If you're listening live on Blog Talk Radio, we don't really use that chat, so come on over to those two and join us over there. And if you haven't given us a follow or a free follow on Twitch or a free subscribe over on YouTube, please do so. It helps the numbers, it helps the algorithm so far. If you happen to have Amazon Prime, you could subscribe to my Twitch for free. It doesn't cost a dime, and it enables you to help out the show as well. Otherwise, it's, your basic subscription price. Otherwise, you can also go to YouTube and you can become a Danimal, liberal Danimal, for as little as $2 a month. You could do super chats, you could do super stickers. On Twitch, you could also do bits. And if you could buy me a cider, go to liberaldan.com, click the Buy Me a Cider button. You can go to Venmo, liberaldan on Venmo, patreon.com/liberaldan or patreon.liberaldan.com. Anyway, we'll get you there as well. Anyway, that's all the ways, that's much of the ways to help out. This week, there's also a new Nerdy Dan game that got the sponsorship. This week, I did manage to get the Star Trek sponsorship. So again, this I think is the most fun game to play. So got cheers, got bits. Thank you, Aloysia, for the bits. There you go. Perfect. So we do have that as well. It's a free game to play. There's lots of free ways to get money that way. The one thing that's awesome about this game is if you purchase the $4.99 second builder pack in this game, it gets me $30 for the first 20 people that do it. So literally, if you were ever wanted to do a $5 super chat, or like a $5 subscription to a channel or whatever, and that was in the back of your heads, like you might do that one day, instead download the game, play a little bit, and buy the second builder. That $4.99 gets me $30. So that's the better way to do it. Just click the link. It's pinned in both Twitch and YouTube, and it's lots of bang for your buck. If I hit all of the goals that are possible, I can get like $1,000. So, but that would require everybody getting their operation centers level 12, getting a second ship unlocked, getting a second builder, etc. For some reason, there's an optional thing of joining my alliance. My alliance name is nerdydan.com, but nobody can find my alliance who's already started to play. It's one of the things I think I'm going to complain about the whole thing. It doesn't make any sense. If I have a sponsorship and I give you all my link, y'all should be able to join my alliance. If you can't find my alliance, it doesn't do any good. But, sorry, wait, that's not my thing. That should be Trump's thing to say. Hold on.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Thank you, Nick Rich. Hey, Dean Baker, thank you very much for joining us for your second show, and thank you for the Canadian coffee money. Appreciate you. So, anyway, those are the many different ways to help me out. So, I don't know why this hasn't sent the message about me, because I just did the thing with nerdydan.com buying the cider. Hold on. It should have updated, but it did not. There you go. It's my 4 months anniversary to myself. There you go. nerdydan.com just subscribed with Prime, so I subscribe to myself. Yippee. What's up, Big Hook? Good to see you. Hey, Jackie, Mish. Whom else am I missing so far as I've gone through all the stuff? Jupiter Judy, good to see you. Easy E. Got Aaron in the house. I think Jolie might be running late. See, weirdly, stream has been down for 6 days. That's weird. Weirdly. I haven't been doing. I didn't do a stream Wednesday because of my mother-in-law's funeral on Saturday. We still have the ceremony. Was good, for what it was. Friends came over to the house. We got the house as clean as we possibly could. There's still stuff all over the place, but it was much cleaner than it was. Of course, after everything was finished, thank goodness it took place after everything was finished, we had water coming out from underneath the kitchen sink, and I'm like, what the hell's wrong now? I diagnosed the problem, and the tube between my dishwasher and the garbage disposal now has a leak in it, and so I took a picture of it, sent it to my plumber, and I was like, I can't fix that. Can you come fix that? So we'll be hand washing dishes and using paper plates till Thursday. Yippee. So it's not one thing, it's another, I suppose. Oh, the gaming platform, Steam. Oh, okay. Oh, I thought I read weirdly. I read that weirdly stream, not weirdly Steam. That is strange. That Steam has been down for 6 days. That is odd. Very odd. Oh, no Jolie tonight? Okay. I saw a message that went into the chat. I just didn't see what the message was. So, hope Jolie is okay. I'll respond to the chat later when I see it. Anywho. So, today is... in January is International Holocaust Remembrance Day. That's internationally is when that day is determined. But according to Jewish people, Holocaust Remembrance Day, or as it's said in Hebrew, Yom HaShoah. The Shoah is the Holocaust in Hebrew. That's how we refer to it. And Yom is a day. So Yom HaShoah is the day of the Holocaust, or day of remembrance of the Holocaust. It's based on the Hebrew calendar. So Yom HaShoah can vary from dates from year to year, as it falls on the same day, mostly in the Hebrew calendar. But if it falls on the Sabbath, it can still get shifted forward or backward accordingly. So today is the day this year that Jews recognize it being Holocaust Remembrance Day. So I decided to, before I actually remembered that this was Holocaust Remembrance Day, I had already planned on doing a little bit of a rant on the show as it pertains to something that I had been thinking about for a while now. Most of the weekend, mostly, but something that I thought about where I was not being as vocal as I probably should have been about certain people, and my not being vocal about them perhaps could be seen as hypocritical, and I don't want to be my own hypocrite of the week. So I need to speak up about it, because if I'm not calling out people on my own side of the aisle, like I will do, I will definitely call out other people on the other side of the aisle. But if I'm not gonna call out my own side of the aisle, then that's a problem. So I'm gonna be calling out some people on my side of the aisle, a little bit. But one of the things that's just hyper disturbing is the fact that there's a peace deal on the table, And Hamas is reported to have accepted the peace deal. Now, you believe Hamas is, whatever grains of salt you want to believe them. There was a peace deal, I guess, in place when they attacked on 10/7 as well, right? But, it doesn't do the Israeli government any favors when on Yom HaShoah, they still are blanket bombing people and indiscriminately bombing and going after Hamas in a way that is being seen by the world as going too far in their going after Hamas. Because Netanyahu absolutely had the authority and the backing to go after Hamas after 10/7. But he did it wrong. He absolutely did it wrong. And there's too many deaths that have taken place because he did it wrong. And he's making himself look even worse than he already did. And he's causing problems. And I've had arguments with people on Facebook and other places where it's because of the actions of Israel, of the Israeli government, Jews are made to suffer. Jews are made to suffer because of the actions of the Israeli government. 56, not all Palestinians support Hamas, just the haters. Well, right, and that's the point, is that, I've been critical of those folks who would, and that's a little bit part of, you're getting ahead of me, Nick Rich, because that's going to be part of my Fat Man rant. Which I know you love. So, in which course, let's go ahead and switch to that, shall we? Hold on, there we go. Switch screens. Locked and loaded. No, Netanyahu doesn't represent all Jews, but Israel is the Jewish state. And because Israel is the Jewish state, because Israel's a Jewish state, there's lumping in together, and that becomes a problem. And we'll get into that in a second. So here we go. This will have the cute little intro when I edit it after the show. So here we go. First, we have to start off by rewinding a good bit and talking about the Charlottesville protest. The one that had Nazis marching down the street when they were protesting the monuments, and you had people with tiki torches shouting blood and soil and Jews will not replace us, and Donald Trump is like, there are good people on both sides. And I'm like, no, there are no good people on the side that's marching with Nazis that are saying the Jews will not replace us in blood and soil. Because if you're marching alongside next to a Nazi, you are not a good person. If you are protesting whatever cause you're protesting, and there's a Nazi protesting along with you, you either kick the Nazi out of your protest, or you leave that protest and you form a new protest that doesn't include the Nazi. If you are ready and willing and happy to accept that Nazi into your protest and allow that person to continue to spew Nazi anti-Semitic rhetoric, then you are aiding and abetting that person, and you're no better than that person. So again, when Donald Trump said there are good people on both sides, no, there were no good people on the side with the Nazis. What do you call 11 or 10 people eating dinner at a table with a known Nazi? 11 Nazis. So, there are people
at these pro-Palestinian protests who are shouting anti-Semitic rhetoric. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And look, there are some people who are out there, and we've covered this before, who don't even know, like some students, some activists, who don't even know what the river is and what the sea is. But they hear this slogan, and they think that's the slogan to call for Palestinian freedom, so they're going to repeat it. But from the river to the sea is something that has been used by Hamas to call for the ethnic cleansing of Jews from the area in the Levant. In the area from Lebanon to the Red Sea to the Dead Sea to the Mediterranean. It's a call for ethnic cleansing. Now, some people will tell you, oh, that saying has been around since well before Hamas was ever created. Okay, sure. The swastika had also been around for a long time, since well before the Nazis were a thing. The Nazis took it, they stole it, they repurposed it, and now a swastika pretty much has a specific meaning. So, and especially in certain contexts. So when you're using from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, when you're using that slogan, that now has a meaning of we're going to yeet all of the Jews into the sea. Because before Hamas existed, there was the PLO, and the PLO charter basically said that they wanted to push all of the Jews into the sea as well. That's another issue. So you have people who are out there at these protests who are openly and outwardly chanting anti-Semitic things, holding anti-Semitic signs. So if you are at one of these protests and you are chanting these anti-Semitic things, or you're standing next to people chanting these anti-Semitic things, why should I consider you to be any better than the anti-Semite if you're not kicking the anti-Semites out, or if you're not leaving that protest and forming a new protest? It would be hypocritical of me to not draw that line for the people at the Charlottesville protest, and to draw that line for the people for the Charlottesville protest, and to not draw that line for the people at these protests. Anti-Semitism is anti-Semitism, regardless if it comes from the right or the left. Now, criticism of the Israeli government in and of itself is not anti-Semitic. You can criticize Netenyahu all you want. You can criticize the Israeli government all you want. You can criticize the Israeli military all you want. Now, this is why I've said that when people are criticizing Israel, they should be doing it in a way that is specific to who you're criticizing. Because there are issues when people are like, Israel is evil. Well, what do you mean? Zionism is evil. What do you mean by Zionists? Like, somebody asked this, question on one of their posts on Facebook. Are you a Zionist if you support a two-state solution? If you ask Benjamin Netanyahu, no, you're not. If you ask Hamas, yes, you are. If you ask people in the middle, it depends on the context. But many times when people use the term Zionist, they're really just using it as a word to use pejoratively, just to substitute for Jew. So in reality, when you're attacking Zionism, it's code for Jews. So in reality, you should probably be more specific as to who you're attacking. Unless you're really just wanting to attack Jews, then just attack the Jews and let us all know that you're an anti-Semite. If you're attacking Israel, are you really attacking the entirety of Israel? Or are you more attacking the Israeli government, the Netanyahu administration? Because you should be attacking those things more specifically to leave no doubt in anybody's mind that you're not being anti-Semitic. And furthermore, by being more hyper-specific on who you're being critical of, like the Netanyahu administration, the Israeli government, the Israeli military, like when they bombed the food aid group, their stupidity, their horribleness with that. When you do that, you not only leave no doubt in people's mind that you're not being anti-Semitic, you're also not allowing anybody else to pick up your words and use them in an anti-Semitic way. But when you are vague about it, it opens the door for other people to latch on and then be like, and then use your words in an anti-Semitic way. It allows other people to hijack you. That's why you need to be hyper-specific so that people can't hijack your words. If that makes sense. The bottom line is, furthermore, one more thing, is that you can't, there's on the other side of the coin, you have Jews and other people that are supporting the Israeli side and the actions of the Israeli government who have said things like, we need to flatten Gaza. Well, no, it's not the Gazans that are at fault for 10/7. It's Hamas that was at fault for 10/7. And most Gazans had nothing to do with 10/7. So flattening Gaza is not the answer. Harming the Palestinians in Gaza is not the answer. You have to be specific. Again, it's Hamas. You want to go after Hamas, and that's it. And that's the problem with what Netanyahu's doing, is that he's not using surgical precision in going after Hamas. Now, it's known that Hamas uses human shields and hides behind innocents like cowards, and when they do that, that's their fault. It's not Israel's fault. If they're actively launching missiles from a school, then it is not Israel's fault for taking out the missile launcher that's sitting in a school. But if Israel's indiscriminately bombing, then yes, that's Israel's fault. The Israeli government's fault. See, sometimes I'm even guilty of it myself. But again, I corrected myself. We all need to do better in being more specific in our criticisms. And you know what? And sometimes, because I'm Jewish, maybe it's a little bit more clear because I'm probably not being anti-Semitic, and it's probably more clear that if I'm saying Israel, I probably mean the government. But people who are not Jewish, it's not as clear. So maybe that sucks for the people who are not Jewish, but, we've dealt with anti-Semitism for all of our lives, so maybe we get a little bit of a pass on that. But I still try and be hyper-specific as much as I can, because I want to set an example as for how other people act. And when I don't act like how I want others to act, I correct myself, like I just did. At the end of the day, though, when I see these people at these pro-Palestinian rallies fighting for a free Palestine, fighting for the right of Palestinian people to simply exist, to live, to have their own state, free of Hamas, free from Israel, be able to self-govern, self-rule, things that I support. But when I see them starting to spew anti-Semitic rhetoric, I have to shake my head and I have to say, no, you are doing it wrong, because you will never successfully fight bigotry using bigotry. But the problem is that the people that are calling this out are people that look like me. And I come across as just the white guy. And sometimes, my white privilege, as I've said in the show before, disappears once my Jewishness becomes relevant, because the anti-Semites, the Nazis, want me dead. They don't think that I'm white. They think that I'm Jewish, and that Jewishness takes away my whiteness. But the people who are protesting will look at me and reject intersectionality. They will reject any idea that I'm somehow marginalized or oppressed as a Jewish person because of how I look. They will reject that their words, their using anti-Semitic rhetoric, puts me and my family at risk. And they'll tell me, even though they're not Jewish, that their words are not anti-Semitic. Even though with any other marginalized and oppressed culture, they would listen to that marginalized and oppressed culture when that marginalized and oppressed culture tells them that their words are oppressive, that their words are bigoted, that their words are harmful and hateful. But for some reason, when it comes from Jews, especially Ashkenazi Jews, we're not listened to. And maybe they need to look inside themselves and wonder why that is. Because on this day of remembrance, on this Yom HaShoah, that didn't matter when 6 million of us were carted off into gas chambers. What we looked like didn't matter. All that mattered was that we had Jewish parents. And 6 million of us were just had our lives snuffed out. So maybe, just maybe, some of y'all will listen to us when we're telling you that the words you're using put us at risk. And that we are just asking you to fight for the right to Palestinians to survive in a way that doesn't put other marginalized and oppressed people at risk. I don't think I don't think that's too much to ask. Do you? What do you think? Leave your comments down below. Share this video if you agree, or even if you disagree. Like and subscribe. And please keep the 6 million Jews and other 6 million others who died in the Holocaust in your memories, and never forget. Anyway, that's my rant. Now we can go through the comments, and we'll deal with the comments in a second. See, Andrea in the Twitch chat, a lot of the problem is history and civics isn't being taught in schools. Yeah, because there is a large portion of, Gen Y and Gen A or whatever, the recent generations who don't even know if the Holocaust is even true, and the number of people that they believe that died in the Holocaust is like much less than the actual numbers. So yeah, people are not learning history. It's gross. It's gross the amount of people who are not informed about what's going on over the course of from our history, and those who forget history are doomed to repeat it. Let's see. Let's do some scrolling back and just see. Big Hook, do you think Netanyahu will honor the proposed ceasefire? I don't even know if he'll agree to it. And if he doesn't agree to it, it'll just make him even more of an a-hole than he already is. Because he needs to agree to it. At least it's I think it's a temporary. I don't even know the exact text of the ceasefire. I think it's temporary, but it gets some hostages back. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous that it's not a one-to-one trade of hostages for Palestinian folks detained, but, take what you can get at the moment and work towards a peaceful solution. But the only reason that Netanyahu doesn't want a peaceful solution, because once it's solved, he has to deal with his criminal issues, and he doesn't want to go to prison. So, that's what this is half about, at least. Because he allowed this to happen because he wanted to be able to make this a big deal so he didn't have to deal with his criminal problems. Let's see. Easy E Network. It's probably the drain for the dishwasher. No, I literally saw I took a picture of the hose, and there was a crack in it, and the water was shooting up out of it. Let's see. Nick Rich, the Holocaust is something to be remembered on more than one day. Well, we get two. We get the International Remembrance Day in January, and we get Yom HaShoah, right? We get 2 days, not just one. Let's see. Is that another reason why Netanyahu sounded so frothingly, frantically extreme today, making political gain out of this national holiday? Probably. See. The one Trump said were very fine people on both sides. Yes, Charlottesville. Guarantee you some of the counter-protesters were Antifa trying to stir up people. Maybe. My dear friend thought Trumpet was finished after Charlottesville. I effing wish. Problem is that he pandered to his base. And by pandering to his base, he got that support that he needed. Now, he lost after Charlottesville, but that doesn't mean that he can't win this time. I mean, if I were Biden, I would bring up Charlottesville as much as he could. I would bring up Charlottesville as much as COVID. I would bring up Charlottesville as much as it is what it is. Because it is what it is was deplorable as well. There's so many things that should disqualify him, but people are stupid. Yeah, Nick Rich, from the Jordan to the Mediterranean is what they mean. Yeah, that's what they mean, but there are people, there's literally journalists who went out to these protests and asked the college students which river and which sea, and they were like, I don't know. And then they told them what it meant, what river, what sea, and they showed them Israel, and then they said, and then asked them, what do you think happens to Israel if that happens? And then a lot of the people chanting it changed their mind. So yeah, there are bad people on both sides. That's true. That I can agree with. Of course, both sides' isms are also not good as well. Easy saying Zionist is borderline anti-Semitic. I mean, yeah, that's my point. Yeah. Trump calling the Jews the men with little hats was meant as a pejorative. Of course it was. And Trump saying that he didn't want black people doing his books, he wanted the Jews doing his books, was not a good thing about the Jews or the black people either. It was racist to suggest that black people couldn't do his books, and it was anti-Semitic to perpetuate the stereotype about Jews and money. So, Let's see. The Netanyahu government wants this, and the Republicans want to help. But the funny thing is that the Republicans didn't want to help. The Republicans didn't want to vote to give Israel aid, which is weird. Like, there are a lot of Republicans that were like not wanting to give Israel any money, which I was kind of shocked about. See, I've always been aware of using bigoted language towards any group. I'm white, but my parents just didn't say things like that, so I didn't learn it. Well, that's good. My parents also didn't use such language. RFK Jr. pissed off a ton of Ashkenazi Jews. Oh, I have a video about RFK Jr. being anti-Semitic. Absolutely. Hey, Billy Kid 73, good to see you. See, I just scanned, unfortunately, and I lost where I was. Okay, I think I found myself again. There we go. There we are. What's up, John Deff? Good to see you. Remember, the like button would enjoy a little rub. Hopefully, most of the guys in here could find that button that could use a little rub. Ba-dum-bum. Netanyahu is in a tunnel with a jail cell at one end and Hamas at the other end. Netanyahu needs to be drugged and dragged in front of the Hague. Let's see. I learned of the Holocaust at 9 or 10. I thought one human life was worth more than all the money in the world. Well, it should be, but unfortunately it's not. Hey, Don. Good to see you. Well, see, Jeff, hopefully after listening to my show long enough that you would be there. I have a whole video series on Israel and Hamas that you should watch, and you'll be more informed, right? Yeah, that is how DJT was raised and how he lives his life as a bigot, right? That's absolutely true. KQB, it was time. I think even on a standalone bill, there were people who were saying that Israel should have to fend for themselves. Like, the Republicans have gone crazy even for them. Hey, Chris, good to see you. See, a lot of protesters are idealists, romantics who want to be on the right side of history, like the Vietnam protesters and the Civil Rights Movement. And that's true. Yeah, they're idealists or romantics, but the problem is that, and the problem with that is that, you know, there's nothing wrong with idealism but you have to have your feet kind of firmly planted in reality. You have to, like there are people who are out there who want Israel to just be terminated and just removed from the map. It's like, that's not gonna happen. It's like, you're never gonna just eliminate Israel from the map. It's not a thing. It was created, and there's nothing you're gonna do to uncreate it unless there's a military action that literally wipes it off the planet. It's just you're not gonna have Israel willingly just disband itself. But you know, people think that. And then there's another problem, which is that people will describe Israel as like a colonialist state, when in reality it was a refugee state. Like, and we've talked about that as well. Like, the idea that Israel is a colonialist state is one that isn't necessarily an idea that's in reality, because it was a refugee state. It was created as a refugee state, because not just European refugees either. Nobody wanted the Jews that were coming from Europe but there were Jews who were fleeing many places. All across the Arab world, you had thriving Jewish populations, and all of the Arab nations passed laws that made it hard for Jews to do business. Jews lost their business, lost their property, lost their lands, lost their money, and they had to flee somewhere, and where the only place they could end up going was Israel. So Israel was the only place that they could go. Israel, again, was created, as I've said in another video, because of global anti-Semitism. Created this one little refugee state that had the result of also creating Palestinian refugees that the Arab world was more than happy to use as pawns in their hatred of the Jewish people and in their hatred of the state of Israel, which is why they never gave Gaza and the West Bank back to the Palestinians after the Israeli War of Independence. Even though the UN partition plan gave that land to the Palestinians, Egypt kept Gaza, Jordan kept the West Bank, and they just forced the Palestinians to live in these, refugee camps instead of just allowing them to either be absorbed into their society or giving the land back to them and saying, here, this is the land that you were granted, here you go. Because to the Arab world, the Palestinians were nothing but pawns for 20 years. And then in 1967, when the Six-Day War happened, there were hardline right-wingers who, when they took over the West Bank and Gaza in Israel, who were like, we should just boot all of the Palestinians out. And Golda Meir was like, nope. We're not doing that. We're not gonna be those people. And they allowed them to stay. So now, has the Israeli government done good by the Palestinian people? Clearly not. Settlements in those areas that have been allowed and encouraged, especially by people like Netanyahu. There has been horrible behavior by administration after administration and how they've dealt with the Palestinian folks, and there should have been a two-state solution a long time ago. There should be two independent states at this very moment, and there should have been since 1948. But the idea that Israel is simply this colonialist state ignores a lot of world history that a lot of people don't even know. So, yeah, MJ, there are a lot of Muslim nations that never cared about Gaza or Palestine. They didn't. The people who were Palestinian were pawns to be used against Israel. Yeah, easy. Jews had very few countries they could go to. U.S. and USSR were some. U.S. wasn't even allowing Jews in. The only way you could come in if you were Jewish for a while during World War II was like if you had a job or something, which is one of the reasons why you saw like historically black colleges and universities would bring in Jewish scientists who are fleeing Europe, and they would say, okay, you could come teach here at our universities, and basically it was the way to help save those Jewish professors, those Jewish scholars from the horrors of the Holocaust. There are many Jewish scholars that were saved by those historically black colleges and universities. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gotten here. Israel is still a state of last refuge for some Jews from Iraq, Syria, Iran. I mean, there are hardly any Jews left in Iraq, Syria, and Iran. Like, some of those states might have 6 left. So, Yeah, we took some Nazi scientists in too. Werner von Braun being one of them. Once the rockets come up, who cares where they come down? That's not my department, says Werner von Braun. Some have harsh words for this man of renown, but some think our attitude should be one of latitude, like the widows and cripples in old London town, who owe their large pensions to Werner von Braun. Sorry. I love Tom Lehrer. And me singing it doesn't violate copyright, because Tom Lehrer opened all of his stuff into the public domain. So, what was the ship the U.S. turned away? I don't remember the name off the top of my head. U.S. turned away ship, Jewish refugees, World War II. St. Louis. The voyage of the St. Louis. Why did the U.S. turn away St. Louis? About 900 Jewish people attempted to escape Nazi Germany on the MS St. Louis, but the ship was turned away by the U.S. because of immigration restrictions. Later, more than 250 of those passengers were killed during World War II and the Holocaust. Yep. You too could be a big hero. Sorry. If you learn to count backwards from 0. Another Werner von Braun song. There was a World War II veteran that sat at the VFW here called Pops. He fought for Germany. He got deported but made it back. Interesting. Like, how much did he fight for the Nazis? Like, was he like SS, not Nazis, or was he like frontline soldier, like foot soldier, fighting for the Nazis? I may have to leave. I may have to stop doing the show because I'm hearing arguing coming from the other room. Holy crap. Oh, I think they're handling it. Okay. Apparently the neighbor needs some Neosporin and the kids are being pains in the necks about bringing it to them. But I think they're finally bringing it to them. Oi. Braun was a scientist, but not likely as evil as Mengele. Well, clearly not. I mean, he was just responsible for the rocketry. He wasn't. Mengele was like the twisted, evil scientist, doing experiments on people. Braun was just responsible for, launching rockets. Einstein was run out of Germany if he didn't want Hitler telling him what to do. Well, yeah, and Einstein was also Jewish. So he had to run out of Germany. He had to run away. Yeah, John Deff, Biden withheld an arms shipment today. That won't be good enough for the protesters, though, because he already said other ones that were there. But it's been my opinion that of when it comes to Biden and the shipments and the arms shipments is that if we just stopped sending Israel arms, Israel would have had to turn up the heat, and Israel would have went full on horrible, like even worse than they are doing now. The Israeli government would have went full on worse than they're doing now. Netanyahu would have went full on worse than he's doing now, because he would have had to make sure to use whatever it is that he had to accomplish whatever objective he wants to do, because he wouldn't want to run out of weaponry. hold on a second. Let me send a message to. Let's see. Passionate people are not known for making good decisions. That's true. See, Biden has ensured we did not have another World War II because of 10/7. Trump is doing everything to create World War III. Well, yeah. I mean, Trump. Well, Trump will say he doesn't want World War III, but Trump will try and not have World War III because Trump will just let Putin take over everything. That's how Trump will avoid World War III, because Trump will just say, just let Putin take over the world, and that's how we avoid World War III. That's how he avoids. That's Trump's idea of avoiding World War III. So. Anyway. We are a nation of fools if we allow the orange turd to take control. And then a lot of people in China will say he's not going to win. And I know Hal's will say he's not going to win. And I'd like to think that he's not going to win. There's many reasons to believe that he won't win. I mean, I've covered some of them on the show. Like, for example, good 10% of his supporters have basically said that they'll never vote for him again. Of the people voting in the Republican primaries, 10% are just have said flat out no. So if you go from his 73 million that he had as the incumbent in 2000 or 2020, that means that he's now at 66. So Biden would have to lose from 81. He'd have to lose like 15 million votes. So that would be a pretty tough loss to do. Plus the fact that Trump also caused a lot of Republicans to just flat out die because of his horrible handling of COVID and then his irresponsibility when it came to, not setting the right example. So even more Republicans are not available to vote. But never doubt the ability of the people on the left to shoot themselves in the face or to cut their noses off to spite their face, to shoot themselves in the foot, or whatever other saying or euphemism or cliche you want to use to make it so that we're making this too close than it needs to be. Like, we all distrust the polls, but even then, why are the polls this close? The polls shouldn't even be this close, even though the polls can be horrible. Trump is Stalin, Biden is Carter, Stalin disguised himself. Let's see, wait. Trump is Chamberlain, Biden is Churchill. I mean, I think that I'll take it back. Trump is Chamberlain, Biden is Churchill. I'll take it back. Trump is Stalin, Biden is Carter. Stalin disguised himself as a sheep and he was a wolf. I mean, I think the Trump Chamberlain comparison is apt in that he would just simply appease Putin. He thinks that appeasing Putin is the right thing to do. He would just let Putin just steamroll over Ukraine. He would let Putin steamroll over NATO. He would weaken NATO. He would let Putin just, take back over whatever Baltic states or, the former Soviet bloc, and just whatever was in the former Warsaw Pact would just be like, you can go take Poland. I don't care. It's drab and dreary. I don't like Poland. Jeff Curry, you've never been polled. I've been polled several times. Oh my. No. I've gotten polls. It's just, I think just because my cell phone is the phone number I use for my voter registration, and I vote regularly enough that I think that I'm labeled as a regular voter, and as such, the polls want to get me. So, Dean Baker, he would not return fighter or fire if Putin launched. Probably not. He'd be like, oh, well, this is how I go. I will go for Putin. Problem is, Putin probably be like, Donald, I'm going to fire my nukes at Washington. You better leave. You go down to Miami. Go to Mar-a-Lago this weekend. Just trust me on this one. You want to go to Mar-a-Lago for a vacation. Okay? Alright. Any particular reason, Vlad? No. Just go to Mar-a-Lago this weekend. Just trust me. And then, Trump goes down. Come on, Melania. We're going to go to Mar-a-Lago. Oh, wait. I hear that there's a nuclear launch coming from Russia. Where is it going? Sir, it's going to Washington, D.C. Oh, well, I'm not there, so it's just a bunch of Democrats. We don't need to worry about that. But, sir, shouldn't we respond? No. Vlad saved my life by telling me to go to Mar-a-Lago this weekend. I don't think we should respond. It would just provoke more war. We can do without Washington, D.C. But, sir! No, but, sir. I'm the commander-in-chief. So, that's pretty much how it would probably go down. And then they would try to impeach him if there was even a Congress left to impeach him, and the Republicans in the Senate would be like, Mitch McConnell would be like, well, this is a crime. There's plenty of time to deal with this as a crime. We shouldn't have to deal with this as a matter of impeachment. Let's let the criminal process play itself out. I'm Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, and I think we should let the criminal process play itself out. I'm not going to vote to convict on the articles of impeachment. It is what it is. Sorry. That's Trump.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Anyway, so that rant was pretty much all I had prepared for this day's show, because of all of the stuff that went on up through last week and through the weekend, dealing with my mother-in-law's funeral and all that other stuff. So I think this is probably going to be a thank you, Jeff, for the good Mitch voice. I don't think I do a good Trump voice. Well, maybe I do a good Putin voice, Maybe a good Russian voice. I don't know. You tell me if I do good Putin or not. But, well, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is probably one of my favorite ones to do. But anyway, I think I'm going to call this an end to the show, simply because I don't have anything else prepped, because, again, of all the busyness over the weekend. So I do want to thank y'all for coming out today. Please, if you can, download the game, play a bit. I don't know if you'll be able to get to level 12 at this point, but it should be easy enough to get to level 3 and get the second ship, and the $4.99 to get the second builder gets me the extra $30. So $4.99 gets me 30. Just remember that. $4.99 gets me 30. It's flipping awesome of a deal if we can get that done. And 20 of y'all can do it. So actually 19. I'm going to do one of them. So 19 extra people can do it. So anyway, it's a great way to support the show if you have the money to do it. If you don't, still play it. Do those other things. It'll help support the show. It's free. all the other freeways we've covered already. I'll be back on Wednesday, the normal, regular time. I'll also be doing Nerdy Dan tomorrow, mostly Disney Dreamlight Valley, simply because of the fact that there's a brand new launch, but I'll also be doing some of the Starfleet Fleet Command as well, simply because I have to get some time in playing it live, have to do the thing playing it live in order to be able to get the credits, to get, you know, they refund me some money on whatever. So anyway, until Tuesday or Wednesday, depending when you join me, this is Dan Zimmerman with Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left. That's right.